lifestyle choice. Can you still hear me? You can do so much more.
Yeah, I can hear you.
For the Great. Web logo. All right, so we're going show exploration. Web. It's the breakfast on your radio. With critical focus on the Nigerian economy, we see the bigger picture. Business Express on Smooth 98.1. Business Express. Brought to you by InterSwitch. Transaction solutions you can depend on.
Love music, love life. 33 minutes past 6 o'clock. You're listening to Business Express right here on Smooth 98.1. My name is Oluwaseun. And if you're a part of a YouTube family, it means you can already see the notification telling you that we are live. So please join us on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. At Smooth 981 FM Lagos. It means that you get to watch this later on. You share with someone who needs this information. And you can also broadcast it all around the world. Also, it means you should subscribe so that whenever we go live, you see that notification. Plus, you get to be a part of the conversation simply by using the live chat option and dropping your comments in there. But if you'd like to be on WhatsApp, WhatsApp line is 0809 444 0981. Joining me today to talk about Nigeria's economic growth in Q4 for 2024, that's October to December, I do have the Consumer Goods Analyst with ARM. Please give it up for Callista Chileke. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me, and let's dive right into the discussion this morning. Let's talk about how Nigerian economy grew by 3.84% in the last 3 months of 2024. But putting that into perspective, how does it compare with the same period in 2023 or even from July to September in 2024?
Yeah, so in Q4 2023, the Nigerian economy grew by 3.46% year on year. And then in Q3 2024, the economy grew by 3.46% year on year as well. So we can see that the economy grew at a much faster pace in the last quarter of 2024, that's Q4 2024, where it grew by 3.84% year on year. But when we take a closer look at the major drivers during that period of time, we see that the oil sector was very buoyant in Q4 2023, registering a growth rate of 12.11%. And then in Q3 2024, it grew by 5.17%. But in Q4 2024, that is this past quarter, the sector grew by just 1.48%, which is very moderate compared to the other quarters. And this just goes to show the inherent problems that are wrong with our major export product, which is crude oil. And in these other quarters, that is the Q4 2023 and the Q3 2024, the oil sector grew at a much faster pace than the non-oil sector. But in Q4 2024, the numbers tell a much different story. And the growth rate of the non-oil sector, which came in at 3.96% year on year, outpaced that of the oil sector, which was at 1.48%.
Talking about non-oil sector, I feel like Dirty December should be a non-oil sector. It should be a sector on its own. What was the role that this one played in the economic growth generally?
So now the non-oil sector has various subsectors under it, right? So looking at how some of these specific sectors grew in Q4 2024 when we had the festive celebrations, the IJGPs, everyone coming into Nigeria, and you compare that to Q3, the growth rate in Q3 2024, we can see significant spikes in some certain sectors. For example, in the accommodation and food services sector, which you can interpret as hotels, Airbnbs, and all that, it grew by 22.3% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. That's comparing, Q4 2024 to Q3 2024. Also, we saw that the transportation sector grew by 55.31% quarter on quarter, and the real estate sector also grew by 21.83% quarter on quarter. So we can definitely, with these figures, we can, definitely say that some of the growth in these sectors can be traced back to the festive season where we had such high demand for goods and services in these particular sectors.
Now let's talk about the oil sector where we pumped about 1.4 million barrels in Q4 2024. And how does that compare to the prior periods? Did we do better, or as Gen Zs would say, did we fall off?
um, quite in the middle actually. Well, we'll see how how that played out. So yes, in Q4 2024, crude oil production stood at 1.54 million barrels per day, and which is, when you compare it to what it was in Q3 2024, that is 1.47 million barrels per day. We can say that we, crude oil gave, right. But but it's actually lower than what was recorded in Q4 2023. So in Q4
Mm,
2023, crude oil production came in at 1.56 million barrels per day, which is the reason we are seeing, and this, this little or not so little reduction in crude oil production. So in Q4 2024, crude oil was 1.54 million barrels per day. Then in Q4 2023, crude oil was 1.56 million barrels per day. And this 0.02 difference in crude oil production could account for the 1% year-on-year growth rate that we saw in the oil sector in this Q4 2024. So in Q4 2023, the sector grew by more than 12% compared to its comparable period, which was Q4 2022. So in Q4 2022, oil production was just at 1.34 million barrels per day. So you can see where we're coming from. And for Q3 2024, the sector grew by 5.17% year on year, because its comparable period, which is Q3 2023, crude oil production at that point in time was 1.45 million barrels per day.
mm. Well, with all the growth and the shrinking, we're still not up to 2 million barrels per day. Is it possible that we can attain that? And what needs to happen for us to get there?
Well, yeah, it's possible because we've been there. I think we can get back there. So, the
Yeah,
last time we were at 2 million barrels per day was sometime in 2019. Looking back now, that was a long time ago. At
yeah.
that time, the NNPC was actively, developing new oil field and assets, and this helped to, ramp up production in that particular year. Also, there we saw a lot of infrastructural upgrades that were made, and policies such as the accelerated lease renewal program was launched, and it helped to, boost crude oil production at that point. To be at the levels we are right now, it means that something must have gone wrong along the line. First, we need the security at the pipelines to be tightened, and I think that is ongoing at the moment. I saw sometime that the government had, partnered up with security personnel to protect oil pipelines, and I think this is one of the reasons we are at the current 1.5 4 million barrels per day levels. The first time since Q1 2024, we've been battling with 1.4 for the most part of 2024. There needs to be, more intentionality in that sector in terms of securing against pipeline vandalism and crude oil theft, which is one of the major reasons why we are not, producing at optimal levels. Policies that will also, encourage upstream companies, that's onshore companies, to produce more, and also increased infrastructural investment in the sector would, go a long way to, boost production in that space. So we have a target of 2.06 million barrels per day in our budget, and that will only be, I think that will be only be achievable with some intentionality by the government, to boost production.
Thank you. Now, if you'd like to join this conversation to say what's on your mind, what you agree with, or what you think we can do for us to get to 2 million barrels per day, WhatsApp line to send your messages to is 0809 444 0981. Again, 0809 444 0981. And if you're sending a message for the first time, please kindly include your name and your location. Now, back to it. The agricultural sector grew by 1.76%. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
To be fair, is the highest growth rates that we saw in the whole of 2024. So in Q3 2024, growth rate was at 1.14%,
Mm,
but we're coming from a place where we were recording 2.10% in Q4 2023. And the agricultural sector is one sector that Nigeria as an economy can really play in and boost the economy, given our large, span of arable land and fertile soil. basically our natural resources are abundant, yes, but unfortunately years of neglect has forced the sector into degeneration and turned the country into a monoproduct economy depending solely on crude oil and its proceeds. But the figures show that it was only crop production that drove the sector in Q4 2024. So crop production grew by 1.90% year on year. All other subsectors under the agricultural sector, recorded slower growth rates in that quarter. So it is not satisfactory, and a lot can still be done to boost and improve production in that sector. Recently, we acquired a $2 billion investment for our livestock sector, and hopefully that inflow should help to bolster up the investment, or bolster up the sector basically. An inflow of investment, both foreign and domestic, will go a long way in helping the resuscitating the agricultural sector.
I feel like as Nigerians, we have lots of middle names. Resilience is one and hope is another. So we have a lot of things that we are hoping for. And meanwhile, talking about the manufacturing sector, 1.79%. Is that okay? Or another? Yeah.
Giving scorecard, but once again, well, 1.79% is a major improvement from other quarters in 2024. I mean, in Q3 2024, the sector grew by only 0.92%. So, but a major highlight I would say for me is the oil refining sector leaving the contractionary zone for the first time in a long while. So the sector grew by we've been record the oil refining sector has been recording negative 32.5% for the longest time, and this time in Q4 2024 the sector grew by 9.59% on year. And of course, that has to be thanks to the refineries that have come on board during the period, particularly the Dangote and the Port Harcourt refinery. So this is, like you said, our middle name is Hope, right? So this is a glimmer of hope for the sector, and we believe that it could be a significant driver of growth in the manufacturing sector and the overall economy this 2025.
Now, looking for your takeaway in all of these, and I'm imagining somebody listening, and the person is a consumer, the common man, and they're saying, all these numbers you're reeling out, what are the implications for my pockets?
Uh, well, for one, so we've seen the course, majorly we should focus majorly on the inflation that has been released. So the whole rebasing has shown that inflation, they rebased the inflation basket, and inflation has, inflation in January 25 came in at 24.80% you know, compared to 34% in December 2024. So looking at that, we cannot basically say that just because of that, the prices of goods and services in the economy has declined. No, we are not seeing that effect currently, but we are expecting that going forward into 2025, inflation will decelerate, will slow down, because a couple of factors will come into that. We're seeing the Dangote refinery coming on board, and that should help to reduce fuel prices. And also we've seen, but what would the exchange rate stability as well is a major factor to consider. But what will actually, impact inflation going forward is the food security. So the insecurity that we are facing in the food producing states of the country is one area to look at.
Thank you very much, Callista. I'll quickly take a lot of messages. Well, okay, maybe not lots, some messages on WhatsApp. Taya from Aja says 2 million barrel and above is possible if government is serious. Dangote seems to be making NNPC honest after so many years of working like a one-man operator and keeping the country in dark. Now that we're out of dirty December, January to March data for 2025 will not be smiling. I'm not too confident about this rebasing. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait till the official data is released for January to March then. And Gilbert Musa from Festa, good morning to you. It is commendable that our oil output is gradually rising, but the question is, what development has occurred in 2024-2025? Is it people-oriented? Can the average citizen feel this impact? I doubt. Well, Gilbert, Hope is our middle name. Fingers crossed, please. And don't give up on us yet. And on YouTube, Your Finance and You says, well said, Callista. Well, thank you very much for the numbers, the information, and the analysis, Callista. And I look forward to having you again. Are you on socials?
Yes, of course I am.
What's your handle?
On what platform would that be?
Any other platform? Or you don't want to be found by people?
Oh, on LinkedIn, I'm just Callista Chileke. That's
That's
fine.
fine then. Thank you very much for being a part of Business Express. We return tomorrow from 6:30, and you can catch up with the analysis. The stream was live on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos, at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. At 7:30, we're going to be analyzing, and this time it will be the major headlines. Stay tuned to Smooth Breakfast
Express. My interest.
Thank you.
Bye. You're welcome. Thank you. Have a great day.